We're back. Time for the politics fix tonight with the strategists. They're back. Democrat Steve McMahon and Republican Todd Harris. Politically, what was Harry Reid up to yesterday? Everybody saw him come out there and say, I'm going for the public option with the opt-out feature. But everybody wrote this morning, he doesn't have the 60 votes. It was a complete bluff. What was it, Steve McMahon, Democrat?
You know, football, when they run a naked reverse and the offensive line and the defense goes this way and the quarterback runs this way, you're all by yourself. And what happens is you either score a touchdown or you get destroyed by the defense when they catch up to you. I think, you know, the outcome is not clear here.
But did he have the ball? I just wonder whether there was anything to this.
No, he's got the ball. And what he's trying to do, I think, number one, he's running for re-election. He's very acutely aware that the left is putting pressure on. And I think this is actually a victory for the left, for Ed Schultz, and for the people who are pushing on the public option. He doesn't have the votes.
Yeah.
And the question is he going to get the votes before the public option is taken out? Or is the naked reverse going to result in a weakening of not just the public option and perhaps a weakening of the Democrats' opportunity to pass health care reform?
Is there a possibility, Todd, in the last days of this, as they get down to the close end of this, that they could blow it? That they do something that would so alienate, say, Olympia Snow, who's apparently already under the bus? Yep. She's saying she's disappointed, blah, 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 because he went for this public option, and she's against it. Lieberman, who represents and openly says so, he's not a Democrat. He represents the insurance industry of Hartford, Connecticut, right? The Hartford, if you will. He says so, that they could just lose those votes and lose the 60 and lose the whole.
Absolutely. In fact, I think that's the path that they're headed down right now. And not just people like Lieberman and Olympia Snow, but you've got Russ Feingold, who has said if some of these opt-in, opt-out trigger mechanisms...
What about more reasonable people, more conservative people from states that reasonable in the sense they're looking out for their rear ends? Mary Landrieu of Louisiana, overwhelmingly Republican state. Blanche Lincoln of Arkansas, same deal. Ben Nelson. I think they have to vote against their states to vote for this.
Yeah, you can write those votes off. There's all this talk about national polling, how people are, you know, the public is inching closer to supporting a public option. None of those polls matter. The polls that matter are the polls in places like Arkansas, in Louisiana, where you've got incumbent senators who are up for re-election in 2010, and there is no way that they're going to support a public option. And I'll tell you who this little maneuver that Reid is doing. This puts ridiculous amounts of pressure on President Obama, who, if I were a liberal, if I were Steve, I would be very, very upset.
It does not do that, Dan, because
Obama.
It basically says the trigger's not good enough. You got to have an option. It's got to be an opt-out, which is much tougher to get rid of because each state has to pass legislation to take itself. And by the way, if I was from a state like Nebraska, I'd say, wait a minute, if I take myself out of this national health system, am I going to be paying the bills of people and subsidizing people in the other 49 states but not getting the benefit of this thing?
This puts pressure on President Obama. It puts pressure on the moderates in the Senate who now are going to have to make a decision about health care reform, letting it go or not. But if you're Harry Reid, this is a no-lose proposition. You put the public option in there, and there's a chance that you get your 60 votes and you get health care reform with the public option. The progressives have won. If, on the other hand, it doesn't get to the floor or it doesn't get out of a filibuster, then Harry Reid can go to the liberals and say, listen, we tried and we couldn't get it done, so we're going to take it out and we're going to get health care reform. And then the progressives will actually believe that Harry Reid tried to get it done. They will see that he couldn't get it done, and they will accept health care reform. It's actually probably the best way to keep the Democratic Party
So in the
together.
end, it's smart for Harry Reid to go in there and bluff with he says, I got a full house here. He doesn't have the full house, but there'll be another hand later on.
Well, there are two winners and one big loser in that scenario. You've got winners on the left, because they see that Harry Reid tried to get this done and he wasn't able to, but he really tried. You've got winners on the right because they were able to defeat the public option. The one big loser, President Obama, because his big signature domestic policy issue goes down in flames.
You think it will go down? I mean,
not going to go down.
You say it'll pass in the end.
Oh, I don't think it'll pass with the public option.
I say it passes. Here's what I think. He may get to 60 votes.
You are doing what you cannot do on this show, Todd Harris.
Todd.
You're saying something that didn't happen. He did not campaign ever on a public option.
Chris,
you cannot tell me
since he was sworn into office.
You're buying this nonsense.
The scenario,
he fought that. He said
healthcare reform is for Barack Obama has been synonymous with the public.
Never.
He
not
never
for 1
promised
second.
it.
He didn't.
You guys are moving
finding the
goalposts right now.
You've set up so he can't win.
This is his standard.
Todd just said health care reform is going to go down. Under the scenario I outlined,
he said 100 times he doesn't have to have public option.
Right. Harry Reid puts a public option on the table. If he has the votes, the progressives win. If he doesn't have the votes, the moderates win. And health care reform passes either with a public option, I don't think that's going to happen, or without a public option. It's a victory for President Obama.
If President Obama supports the public option, why isn't he fighting tooth and nail for it? If this is really what he supports, why is he's like a nosebleed section bystander?
You're contradicting yourself, Todd.
Unlike your crowd, he can think.